Hello and welcome to Heart with Abagaba, the podcast where we celebrate the love, laughter, and little moments that make families shine. Whether you're a parent, grandparent, educator, or simply someone who believes in the magic of childhood, this is your place. Every week, we share real stories, inspiring voices, and joyful conversations that warm the heart and lift the spirit. So grab a cozy seat. It's time to go to Heart to Heart. Stop Smart sponsors Heart to Heart with Abagaba, your one-stop destination for stuffing and non-medical concierge services for adults, teens, and children. For more information, visit www.staff-smart.org or call 480-875-6871. Welcome to another episode of Heart to Heart with Abagaba, where we hold space for honest conversations about family, faith, and what it means to raise children with love and intention. I'm your host, Abby Dominguez. Today's guest is a husband, father, lead pastor, and the author of Parenting Against the Current, a practical and timely guide for Christian parents navigating a world that often flows in the opposite direction of their values. He brings pastoral insight and lived experiences to the conversation, offering encouragement and clarity for families who want to raise their children to know and follow Jesus, even when it's hard. If you've ever felt like you're swimming upstream in your parenting journey, this episode will remind you that you're not alone and it's worth it. Please help me welcome our guest, Josh Poteet.
Hey, Abby, thanks for having me on.
You're very welcome, and I am reaching out to you from Mesa, Arizona. Please tell our listeners where we are connecting from and add a short bio.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Josh Poteet. I'm in West Hartford, Connecticut. I am actually from Florida and Texas, so I really am still trying to figure out what to do with this white stuff that we get in the winter on the ground. But that's just part of it. I guess you wouldn't know about that in Arizona, or maybe you do.
Well, I used to live in Philadelphia for 15 years, so I know
Oh, there you go.
about.
So you're a pro. You probably got some tips for me.
I don't think so.
You just leave.
I love to the warm weather.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, so I have a family. My bride Jenny and I have been married for almost 10 years. We have a 2-year old. We also have a 7-year old. So a 2-year old son, 7-year old daughter. And we have been in West Hartford for the last 2 years. So still pretty fresh. But this is where our church is. This is where we really feel called to, and it's been a ride and a journey to get here.
I love how you introduce your wife as my bride. That's beautiful because sometimes she's a bride, the marriage happens, and then that word is forgotten. And so thank you for bringing, after 10 years of marriage, thank you for referring to your wife as your bride. I just love that.
Oh, I appreciate that. I feel like I mean, we talk about currents, right? And there's a current to even in marriage
Mhm.
of like a transition from bride to wife to
Uh-huh.
roommate. You might not call them roommate, but like that's where marriage can easily go.
Mhm.
And then like you can go even further than that. So yeah, just trying to keep the main thing, and trying to keep her where she belongs.
Oh, yeah. I just power to you. That just made me smile.
I appreciate it.
So, why do so many parents feel unequipped to disciple their kids? And what can they do about it?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of reasons why we don't feel equipped. I mean, I think we all know when our kids come out, like they don't come with a rule book or a tutorial or a how-to manual. It's like, man, like what do I do now, right? And the struggle has always been what works for your kids, Abby, might not work for my kids.
Mhm.
In fact, it could be the exact opposite of what they need. And so I think there's a level of awareness, maybe to detriment, maybe we take it too far, but there's a level of awareness that hey, we're a little bit out of our depth. Uh, and the tension is, at least for most of us, it's if I don't know, I don't go.
Hmm.
And so I don't know how to disciple my kid. And so therefore I'm not going to. And yet that's our role. Like we're supposed to shepherd the hearts of our kids as
Oh yeah.
parents, whether you meant, yeah, whether you meant to or not, you signed
Hmm.
up for the role.
Oh yeah.
In fact, my hope is like they're listening to your podcast, which is all about leading families and loving people well. And so this probably is a group of people that are trying to figure it out, which is beautiful.
Hmm.
And so for me, I would say practical tip number one would be because parenting feels like trying to just keep your head above water, right?
Yeah.
Like as soon as those kids come out, you're like, okay, what do I do? Okay, they're crying. How do I troubleshoot? And you're just trying to keep your head above water. The problem with treading water and keeping your head above water is if there's a current, which there is in this world, you're being pulled away by it.
Hmm.
And so for us, step number one is where am I parenting towards? Like we all need to be destination parents, not treading water, head above the water parents, but destination parents. Where do I want to parent towards? Because if we've got a clearly defined destination,
Hmm.
then that can be the filter through which we push everything we do through.
Hmm.
Um, so the example being our destination that we have, like Jenny and I have talked through a lot about, is threefold. It's we want our children to love God, love people, and enjoy us.
Oh yeah.
And so that last one is like when they don't have to be around us, we want them to still want to be around us.
Hmm.
Uh, and all of that is the filter through which we do everything. So do we have dinner together every night? We do, and that's because of this filter we're pushing through. Like, do we attend church regularly? Yes. I mean, and you could say, well, that's because you're a pastor, Josh, but that's not the why. The why is our destination that we're leading our family to. And so everything we do, I'm a soccer coach for my daughter's soccer team.
Hmm.
Between us, I hate soccer. Like it's just not my thing. I grew up with like hand-eye coordination sports. Like this was not one that I wanted to focus on, and yet I am a grateful, gracious coach
Hmm.
because I love my daughter and I want to meet
Yeah.
her where she is, and
Oh
it,
yeah.
it it's part of moving towards that destination.
That is so. I don't know if I should say beautiful or say handsome. That is a handsome insight. I love that.
I appreciate that.
So, speaking of discipleship earlier, how is discipleship in the home different from family devotions or church attendance?
That's great. I love that question because it actually highlights one of the struggles.
Hmm.
So I would say that family devotions and church attendance should be a part of the equation.
I agree.
But discipleship is it's not a slice of the pie, it's the entire pie.
Hmm.
And the tendency, I would say, especially in American culture today, is we delegate things. And sometimes we should, right? And so we delegate education to the school system a lot of times, which there can be a whole debate on that, but that's not where I'm trying to go. We delegate the discipleship of our kids to the church. Here's the problem. Uh, we fall into a rhythm of delegating things that I believe God has given to the parent to do.
Yeah.
Uh, and what we would never do, or at least I hope we wouldn't do, is like I wouldn't delegate my marriage. Like I wouldn't delegate my wife
Yeah.
to the
Yeah.
neighbor, right? And say, hey,
Oh
like
yeah.
you do the marital things. No, that's not.
No,
But we do it
no.
with our kids. We do it like we
Mhm.
say, hey, the church will lead my family because I don't know how to, which is fair. Like most of us don't know at this. Like nobody started anywhere other than zero,
Yeah.
which means that every single person has wrestled with I don't know how, but the tension should be I don't know how, but I need to figure this out.
Mhm.
And so rather than delegating to the church, we should be partnering with the church.
We
Like the church
should.
is a
Yeah.
partner. And for us, I mean, I would say step one for parents outside of like, so step one for your family is create a destination. Step one for parents as individuals, if you're like, hey, I don't know how to disciple or to shepherd the hearts of my kids intentionally,
Mhm.
then be discipled. Because if you are in a discipling relationship where somebody is shepherding you and leading you to grow in your faith, it's going to translate directly into your home.
Mhm. That phrase hit home to me so much, shepherding the hearts of our children. I love that. Wow.
I mean,
So,
that's our primary role, right?
yeah.
It's hard.
hmm hmm So, I wanted to ask you, so how does it practically look like to parent against the current in today's culture?
Yeah, I would say there's a number of practical things that we can do because there's a number of currents. I'll say one of the best ways that parents can do this, and actually it's a really good like starting point, is something that I would call failing forward. If you look at the canon of scripture, even you
hmm
see that like the disciples are never highlighted as these like awesome guys who just have it all figured out.
hmm
They are just a bunch of guys who mess up often and
hmm
just fall in the right direction. And I would say that's what parenting is meant to be, is it's not that you're perfect, it's not that you always nail it. In fact, if you are presenting this perfect picture of yourself to your kids, then they will grow up thinking they need to be perfect, and shame will own them.
hmm
And so rather than doing that, one practical way that I disciple my kids is I fail forward, which means when I make mistakes, I own it and I'm honest. And we view that as like undermining authority sometimes. I
Um,
think in leadership roles, we're like, I can't be weak. I can't make mistakes. I got to look like I've got it together. And that's false. That's a
mhm.
lie.
Yeah,
And honestly, the best leadership is vulnerable leadership. It's
yeah,
honest about your weaknesses that you can
yeah,
partner together with others.
yeah.
And so hyper practical, Abby,
hmm
something that we do in our home is I want my daughter, and I say my daughter because my 2 year old, he's still figuring life out and how to use
hmm
words, but
hmm
I want my daughter who is 7 to
hmm
hear, "Will you forgive me?"
Oh,
from me more than she hears from anybody else,
oh,
because
ah,
I'm the closest to her, and I'm
yeah.
also gonna mess up the most, right? Like I'm gonna mess up all the time with her. And so I want to own that because when I do that, I am modeling what she should be doing.
Oh,
Have a
yeah.
humble heart.
Oh, yeah.
In conflict, pursue unity, not victory. Seek to understand, not to be understood. Like I'm modeling
hmm
practical tools that translate into like even if you were to go secular, right? Like not
Yeah.
even just like the biblical worldview, but these are things that people value deeply,
Oh, yeah.
and it's something that I get to disciple my daughter in just pure modeling. And so I
hmm
say, like one of the, and there's a ton of currents out there, a ton of things that we can do, but one of the things that we can do practically is fail forward. Like be honest about your mistakes, and
Yeah.
rather than allowing your mistakes to knock you backward,
hmm
use it to fall in the right direction.
I so appreciate that. And as you were speaking, I was just thinking about the modeling and all that. And I know that children imitate us so much. And I heard of a quote that said, I can't paraphrase it right, but something about if we let's give children something to imitate, then let it be good, or let it be forgiveness, forgiving others and being kind to
Hmm.
others. So that I so appreciate sharing this message. And I wanted to ask you, you've led in the relational discipleship network for over a decade. What's
Yeah.
missing when families aren't included in that model?
Say that again for me, Abby.
So you've led in the relational discipleship network for over a decade. What's
Yes.
missing when families aren't included in that model?
Yeah, I would say there's a huge gap when they're not included, because discipleship primarily was
Mhm.
created for the home,
Right.
and that's a tension point that this book was born out of. Was I was meeting with all these parents and all these church leaders and kids and ministry leaders because I was a next gen pastor
Mhm.
before I was a lead pastor, and so I'm in all these church huddles, and over again, the question went something like this: hey, like I love it. Like discipleship is happening. Adults are leading other adults, and we're seeing this translate into maturity and life changes happening.
Mhm.
But we have not, like, how do we make this infiltrate the home?
Yeah.
And when that, like, I would say discipleship is not winning unless it's impacting homes.
Ooh, that's deep.
Yeah, well, I mean, like that's God's plan A. If you look at, I mean, I'm not saying we have to dive too far into the word here, but if you look at Deuteronomy 6, it's all about like, hey, when you are like walking by these 12 stones of remembrance that they had set up for Israel, they're saying, hey, talk about it with your children. When you lie
Mm.
down in the grass and when you are walking and traveling, like tell them the things that you see.
Tell
Like
them. Yeah.
plan A was the home.
Hmm.
And we get it backwards because adults are easier. Like honestly, like it's easier to lead, it's easier to see fruit because we're better at blowing our lives up and we're also better at like making changes. Where kids, like it takes time, right? And like as
Hmm.
soon as you figure something out, they become teenagers, and then you got to figure out like a whole new rhythm with them. And yet, how much better will we be trained up if we are using our home as the primary training ground, one for our kids, but two for us as disciple makers.
Hmm.
Like because I am known fully in my home,
Hmm.
better or worse, like anger, mistakes, frustration, whatever. Like it's most revealed with the people in my house,
Yeah.
which means that if we can figure out how to navigate basic biblical practices in our
Hmm.
home, model
Hmm.
it for our kids, and invite them into it, how
Hmm.
much better will we be
Oh yeah.
at taking ground as we go outside?
That just resonates with me. I so appreciate you sharing that. And speaking of our homes and our children, what are some small, consistent habits that lead to spiritual growth in kids?
I love that question because really, like, pushing against the current is not about like sprinting against it. Like, you'll just get exhausted. It's about those like habitual steps, right? Like creating healthy rhythms to engage your home practically. And so I'll give you a couple simple examples that we do, and we don't have the monopoly on this. There's lots of other things that people could do,
Yeah.
but this is what works for us. I mentioned Deuteronomy 6, like talk about him like when you're walking and when you sit and when you lay in the grass.
Hmm.
And so for us, we call that playing I Spy.
Hmm.
Except instead of playing I Spy over objects, we're just as a family, we are constantly looking for God's fingerprints
Oh,
wherever
wow.
we go.
Hmm.
Like he was all involved in
Hmm.
creation and how my kids are wired
Hmm.
and like and everything that we do. And so like seeking him out wherever we are is important. One natural rhythm we have is at dinner every night we will ask, where did you see Jesus today? Like, and
Oh.
it's as simple as that.
Hmm.
But what it's doing is it's teaching my daughter and eventually our son to look for God wherever they are,
Oh, yeah.
um,
Hmm.
even in the hard days, right? Like
Yeah.
maybe like we've had days where it's like, man, like the fact that I am with you guys right now
Hmm.
is where I see Jesus because I barely made
Hmm.
it to the table today.
Hmm.
Like like that's victory and giving language, and you can make it fun too because like this stuff for kids it needs to translate to like age appropriate
Yeah.
practices.
Hmm.
And so my daughter, when we still do this, she's 7. She does it a little differently now, but we would go through as a family, and so we'd be like, okay, this is your answer, this is your answer, this is your answer, and then we would answer for Ezra, our son, because he couldn't talk yet, and now he just kind of like speaks gibberish, but we let him go for it. But then we would give answers for the animals too, because we got pets in the house, and it was silly, right? Like it wasn't real; it was just us goofing off. And so like Lila would do Zoe, our red dog, and I would always do Ollie, who our dog is he's a little bit special. He's got 23 toes. And so
Ooh.
every night he was I saw Jesus in my 23 toes. And that was just a joke that we would make.
Ah.
But again, it was meeting our kids where they're at.
Mhm.
And doing it in a way that's engaging. I would say another thing that we can do to disciple our kids, and this is actually the secular world I think does this fairly well too, is take them with you wherever
Mhm.
you go, like invite them into your life.
Mhm.
Which means that easy example being, I like to play disc golf. It's not very cool. I don't get a ton of street cred for it, but it's something I enjoy.
Mhm.
And what I've been doing since my daughter was 3 was I've been taking her with me to tournaments, to play rounds, to goof off. And since she was 3, she would tell you that she loves disc golf,
Oh.
but she doesn't Like she had no idea what, like she doesn't know how to score it. She doesn't know the rules. She doesn't get it. What she knows is that disc golf means time with dad, and she loves me.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
Uh, and that's the thing though, is having our kids go with us is hugely inconvenient sometimes.
Mm.
I have been disqualified from more than one tournament because she had to use the bathroom halfway through a round.
Right, right.
And yet, like that's not the goal. Like my goal isn't to win. My goal is to be with my kid and to invite her into my
Mm-hmm.
life.
Mm-hmm.
Which means that like she has helped me with building projects. She's helped me lose at disc golf. She's helped me prepare for messages at church. Like she is actively engaged in the things that I'm doing, and she's going to break some dishes along the way. And when that happens, we're going to fail forward. We're going to show her what
Mm-hmm.
grace is, and we're going to
Mm-hmm.
show her how to love with empathy and respect, and to meet
Mm.
people where they are. Like
Yeah,
all of this is a training ground for our kids.
yeah,
Um, and the beauty is they're teaching us along the way too.
they
Like
are.
the things that I've learned from, and I'm sure you would say this is true too. Um, the things that I've learned from my kids, um, I don't know that I would have learned anywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah. And I am listening to you and I'm just really so embraced. I just, you know, appreciate the idea of like talking about Jesus everywhere in everything we do. That makes it more practical for children. It doesn't make it hard, it doesn't make it scary, it doesn't make it like burdensome. It doesn't make it, I feel like it makes it, everyday life, or, looking up at the sky or taking a walk or like in everything we do, it makes it more practical. And it makes their walk with Jesus more, I don't know, more beautiful, more
hmm,
doable, more. Anyway, I really like the thoughts that you shared on that.
I
So,
appreciate that.
yeah, seriously. And I wanted to ask you, like, how can parents lead spiritually if they're still figuring out their own walk with God?
Yeah, I think one of the key areas that I didn't mention, and this is so focused on parents, but it translates into your families directly. I've got a chapter in the book that's titled "It Takes a Village to Raise a Parent,"
Mm-hmm,
because it does.
mm-hmm,
We look at parenting, we're like, we need help. And that's true. But also, like, I need help as a dad and as a husband to figure out, like, how am I going to be the husband that I was created to be and the father that I was created to be? And what I need is, I need other men around me, and my bride needs other women around her to walk beside us and to
mm-hmm,
shepherd us and to keep us accountable. Like when we mess up or when they've got some questions about, hey, I saw you handle this way. What happened there? Because it seemed
mm-hmm,
like you might have missed the mark. Like I need people in my life. There's a phrase that is I've heard it from a number of parents for the last several years, and it's a phrase that I want. I would like it to die. Like I'm ready for it to be gone. And it goes like this, like, don't tell me how to parent my kids.
Oh.
And what I'm not saying is you should like go up to a parent in the grocery store and tell them what they should do. Like, don't be
Mm-hmm,
that person either.
mm-hmm,
But
mm-hmm,
if you've got equity and you've got relationship and you're walking beside other parents, like you should have, like if it's a humble, healthy relationship, you should have
mm-hmm,
a voice into how they grow and how they lead, especially if you're in a life stage ahead of them. Like we
mm-hmm,
should be looking back and saying, hey, like this is what I did. This is what I did wrong. Like maybe you can avoid some stumbling blocks that I hit along the way. And
mm-hmm,
in the same vein, I should be looking to, and I did this before my daughter was even born. Like I went to, I looked at my friend group of young adults and found the ones who were faithful and just loved the Lord and were mature and were crushing it. And I said, hey, I need to get with your parents. Like I
mm-hmm,
need to talk to them and figure out what did they do, because I want my kids to be raised in a way that's going to help them reach that level of maturity and
mm-hmm,
health and ability to handle conflict reasonably, because conflict's going to happen. So it's not whether conflict shows up, it's how do we navigate it when it does.
yeah,
Um, and so we need like parenting. I would say this: parenting in isolation isn't just hard; it's bad.
it's bad. Yeah.
And and we're meant to do this in community. which
Mm-hmm.
means I need other parents around me, faithful parents who are growing. And I also need to also give what I've received. So I need to be looking back, hey, who has a newborn right now that I can walk beside and shepherd? Who
Mm-hmm.
is newly married, but I've got a great marriage. I want to help impart wisdom or at least share some of my mistakes, which is usually my MO. Like I make a lot of mistakes and like I'll just share everything that I've messed up. Uh, but like how do I give back what I've received? And if we can do that, that is a really practical way for parents who are like, hey, I don't know how. Great, like totally get it. Find
Mm-hmm.
people who do and
Mm-hmm.
who have, and walk beside them and let them speak into the way that you parent, the way that you engage with your spouse, the way that you really just engage in the world.
That is just, I really admire that because if we are the words you use, shepherding the hearts of our children to Jesus, and it's like almost like filling our own bucket, filling our own cup so we can give, so we can pour, so we can be the best for our
Yeah.
children. So that makes perfect sense to me. I really admire that. So I wanted to ask, what's the danger of outsourcing discipleship to the church, even unintentionally?
Yeah, I would say there's a number of them, but one of them is our kids will see what we do, and if that's our mentality, they will see that faith isn't number one. They'll see. So I'll tell you, for me, growing up in my house, up until about fifth grade, we went to church on Sundays. Was not a centerpiece in our home. Wasn't wasn't the number one. We wouldn't talk about faith. When we brought it up, we would be told by our parents that faith is incredibly personal, which is true. It just was never meant to be private, and that's really what they meant was, hey, this is not your business. And what happened was I started taking these worldly views and applying them to God. And so I thought that my value came from achieving and doing things and earning attention because faith was just this side thing that we did occasionally. It was just going to a building versus engaging in a relationship with the creator of the universe. Uh, and if God is number one in my life, and I'm modeling that for my kids, then the church is going to be a resource for that. They're not going to be the primary vehicle.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so I would say the danger is um, God is going to look a couple of ways. It could be God could look secondary or tertiary, or God could be looked at as a vehicle to get what I want
Mm-hmm.
versus God being the source of everything that I ever wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I would say that's the primary danger. The other danger though is parents are meant to become more and more equipped as disciple makers as time goes on. And if I am always outsourcing my own responsibility, I am limiting my ability to grow as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so I become the ceiling for my family wherever I am. Like if I'm leading my family intentionally, I become the ceiling. And what I don't want to have happen is I don't want to reach a point where I am actually hindering the maturity of my kids
Mm-hmm.
or of my bride, like because like that's part of it too. Like I've seen so many marriages where one spouse is dragging their feet and the other one's really just trying to sprint with the Lord and they can't
Right,
because
right.
they're not unified in the way that they're meant to be.
Mm. What are the biggest lies Christian parents are believing right now?
Yeah, I would say the biggest, most common one, and this is what impacts discipleship, like causes it not to happen, is I'm not qualified. Uh, and it's interesting because the best lies are twisted truths. Like they're just twisted enough that it's not true, but it's also just barely twisted enough that you can easily believe it. And I'm not qualified to disciple my kids is 100% like that's accurate, but that's not an excuse to not do it. Like I'm qualified not because on my own merit, but I'm qualified by what Jesus did for me and what he still does for me regularly. And so in that, not being qualified is not a justification to not do the part that God has for me.
Yes.
Um, I would say another lie that we believe is that I am responsible for my kids' choices.
Mm.
Uh, and so to a degree that, again, it's a twisted truth, right? Like my job is to help my kids. This is something we get confused. Uh, it's to help my kids make the right choice.
Yes.
It's not to choose for them.
Right.
Uh, as they get older, like there's a whole chapter in the book on, it's called direct or control. And my job isn't to control my kids. And here's the reason why. Eventually, parents, your kids are going to be sent out. And if I am focused on controlling them, one, it's going to lead to rebellion. And two, they are not going to be equipped to make decisions for themselves because I have been the one deciding for them all along.
Mhm.
So rather than doing that and believing the lie that I need to control to protect my family, I need to equip them to make good choices, which means that like I want to give my kids choices on a regular basis that are age appropriate.
Mhm.
It's one of the things that we even do in discipline, is like, hey, we'll say like maybe Ezra made a bad choice and he's losing a toy. Hey, buddy, like which toy do you want to lose? Do you want to lose the turtle or do you want to lose the giraffe? Like, and in that, what's happening, two things are happening. One, my son is learning that he's not powerless.
Mhm.
Like our kids are meant to be powerful. They're meant to
Yeah.
speak truth wherever they are and have an impact and to be bold, which means that like I don't want him to feel powerless. And so he gets to choose. It also diffuses whatever situation we were in because now he's able to speak into what happens. And it's a simple way to equip him to make the right choice because there's a wrong choice in this, right? Like he could say, well,
Mhm.
I want them both. Well, that's tough, buddy. Like that's
Mhm.
not where we are right now. Uh, and so really equipping our kids to make wise choices. And then the third thing I would say is, and this sounds harsh, I'll unpack it, but stop fighting for your kids.
Mhm.
And what I mean by that is like our kids were meant to engage in the world practically, which
Mhm.
means that I want them to struggle a little bit. I
Mhm.
want them to grow the muscles, especially the spiritual muscles that they need,
Oh
but maybe
yeah.
it's emotional,
Oh yeah.
mental muscle. Yeah, so that they can wrestle and flex those muscles in
Mhm.
a safe environment. Like
Mhm.
this, where they are right now in your house, hopefully is the safest place they will ever be.
Yeah.
Because when they botch it and they mess up and they've got that conflict and you maybe speak a little wisdom and they choose to go their own way, you can be a soft place for them to land when
Mhm.
they fall. That's not to say there aren't consequences. Consequences are a part of life and a part of
Oh
the
yeah.
world we live in.
Oh yeah.
But you're doing it in a way where, yes, you messed up. Yes, you failed, but let's fail forward. You've landed on something soft and we're going to handle this together.
Yeah.
Uh, and so I think that's a big piece and a big lie that parents feel is like, man, I am like, I don't want my kids to ever fail. And it's like, man, I tell my daughter this all the time because fear is a struggle for her. And I say, like, I want you to take risks, which means that I ask her regularly, hey, where did you fail today? Because I want to celebrate failure, not because I want my daughter to fail, but because I don't want her to be owned by fear of failing.
Yeah. Yeah. It only helps us grow and learn and start again. So I am all for that.
Yeah.
So if a parent feels like they've already missed it, where should they start today?
I love it. I would say the best time to disciple your family or to start discipling your family was yesterday.
Mhm.
The second best time is right now,
Mhm.
which means that like, okay, cool. Like you're you're starting now. That's beautiful and that's good. Um, step one, how is your relationship with God? Like, how are you doing in your journey?
Mhm.
Are you plugged in? Are you being discipled? Look at yourself because you're whether you realize it or not, you are leading your family somewhere. Your
Mhm.
kids were made to be discipled.
Yeah.
It's whether or not we're making them into the disciples they were created to be.
Mhm.
And so look at where you are, plan a destination to lead them intentionally toward. If you have a spouse, like a partner in this that you can really champion it together, have those dialogues because it's going to take extreme alignment to do this well. I would say, I say this from the stage to my church all the time. Like Jenny and I, we are aligned in every place that matters and no place else. Like it's baffling. Like when it comes to like shepherding the hearts of our kids and how we parent and like what faith means to us, we are so in sync because we've had so many conversations about it. And
Mhm.
then you look at the things that don't matter, like is peanut butter wonderful? And she's crazy. She thinks it's not, and she loves coconut instead. And like we're not aligned in any other way, but that's fine because those things we laugh about those things and we care about being aligned in the places that matter most. And so I would say that is a core place that parents need to really work on is being synced up and aligned
Yeah,
in their marriages. Because if you're not aligned there, it's going to translate to disunity in every other place.
yeah, yeah. I so agree. And I know that parenting in today's world can feel like paddling against the tide, but with grace, faith, and intentionality, we can chart a course that leads our children closer to Jesus. Josh, I want to thank you so very much for sharing your heart and purpose with us today on Heart to Heart with Abagaba. Do you have any final thoughts for us? Your website, any social media handles, or anything else you'd want us to know?
Yeah, well, thank you guys for having me on. I really appreciate it. I love obviously I wrote a book on it. So I love these conversations of getting to help equip parents to champion the mission of their home. I know that's a passion for you too, Abby. So I'm grateful for that. You can find us at parentingagainstthecurrent.com. You can also find our book, Parenting Against the Current, Taking Discipleship Back in Your Home on Amazon. It's on Kindle, paperback, and Audible, because I know a lot of parents we read by listening. And
Mhm.
so
Yeah.
so that's where we are. Would love to be able to connect with y'all however you need.
Awesome. Dear listeners, thank you for joining us on Heart to Heart with Abagaba today. May you leave this conversation feeling strengthened, encouraged, and reminded that you're not parenting alone. God is with you, and so is this community. Thank you so much, Josh. Have an amazing day, and hopefully we'll connect again sometime.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. I really do appreciate it.
You're very welcome. Aspire Behavior Health also sponsors Heart to Heart with Abagaba. They offer monitoring, counseling, medication, and personal care services in a beautiful residential setting. Contact AspireCBH at outlook.com or call 480-875-6871. Thank you for joining us for another Heart to Heart moment. I hope today's story touched your heart the way it touched mine. If this episode spoke to you, share it with someone you love. And don't forget to subscribe to this and our YouTube channel so you never miss the moment of connection, inspiration, and joy. The stories and insights shared on Heart to Heart with Abagaba are personal and based on lived experiences. While some of our guests may be licensed professionals in their fields, the content of this podcast should not be considered legal, medical, or mental health advice. For expert guidance, please consult a qualified professional directly. Until next time, take care of your heart, take care of each other, and keep celebrating the love that makes us family. Celebrate!